During the 1960s, developers created Leilani Estates, offering prime lots of paradise at affordable rates in Hawai'i Island's southeastern region. Despite the area being an active volcanic zone, a community flourished there, with residents well aware of the risk of living on a volcano.
We went all over this island. He took me all over and I said, no. Almost the ending of our journey towards a week, I just told him, this is the nearest to Poiki, to the beach to take the children, to Kalapana, and to the school. I think I would love to live here.
Yeah, not much of the actual house.
Yeah. Throughout the week of April, the ending, I noticed that. And like my house sits on 2-story and I can feel it, like doing hula. You know, just the beams going on. I was like, oh, okay. So it's through my daughter that I had found out. She had called me and said, Mom, there's a fire. And I was like, fire? She told me, Mom, get out. Get all your stuff out of there. The grounds, when it rained, when my husband bulldozed, they had somebody bulldoze it, I could see little steam come out on the land. They would tell me, sister, do you know Leilani is a volcano underneath ground? I said, yeah, I see it daytime when it's raining.
Did you know as a kid that you were living basically on a volcano?
No, not at all.
None of them knew. Well, nobody talked about it.
No one talked about it.
Yeah, because it's beautiful, Leilani. You would not talk about things like that.
For some, the eruptions are a glorious display of nature. To others, the telltale presence of Pele, the Hawaiian goddess of fire and volcanoes. As the lava flow advanced towards her property, Queenie surrendered any hope of the eruption sparing her house. In offering her final goodbyes to the family home, she felt Pele's powerful presence.
And I could see her just pulling all the telephone poles as high as she was, 30 feet. She was yanking the poles, 3 poles as I was standing at a distance. I could see her eyes looking at me and then dropping. And then I realized, go away from here. Go. Enough already. So I told Minnie, let's go. I gotta go. But I didn't explain to her. I was talking to Pele, telling me, go. It's okay. Means she's going to do something to my house in time to come.
Hawaii's Civil Defense Agency is responsible for the state's emergency preparedness and response. At its helm is Talmadge Magno. A former chief ranger of Volcano National Park, Magno is no stranger to volcanic crises.
Once the cracks started happening and gases were coming out of them and soon it was lava, we had to evacuate the whole subdivision. Since then, things have progressed where, we went through the process of letting people get back into the subdivision to continue evacuation because they had to leave, at a moment's notice late in the afternoon, so much of them were prepared.
Is there the mandatory evacuation in place? And then if someone refuses to go, at what point, do you have to just let them stay?
In the last 2 days, we've had enough rescues and put first responders into hazardous situations where potentially somebody's going to get hurt if we keep doing that day after day. We don't really push the mandatory. It's more like voluntary, but there's another level of evacuation that we can make it a evacuation order where and we designate areas that are closed. If anybody's in that area, we could arrest them. So I think we're moving to that next level. We're up to 24 different vents that have opened up, and early on it was just really light effusion or release of lava, but now it's just pushing out tons of lava. We kind of compare it to other disasters where usually you just have the disaster come through, you kind of prepare, you respond, then you do your recovery. This one, we're doing everything at the same time.
Right, so many things are being juggled.
And the event's continuing, it continues to happen. So I likened it to war, basically. Every day you got a new battle to fight.
In theory, the evacuation and curfew measures set out by Civil Defense would be well received by those it intends to help. But for some Leilani Estate residents like Jay Turkovsky, the measures impinge on their ability to make their own decisions.
Buddy Talmadge called and said,
Oh, he did?
10 p.m. was just for last night only.
Oh.
I said, the mayor told him Sunday morning. Oh, he didn't like that, but too bad.
The relationship with civil defense is very bad. They're not passing on information. They have no major channels to communicate with anyone in here, other than they send out their status reports. Okay, you know, fissure such and such is doing this, and it's flowing down there, and we had 2 more explosions up at Halemaumau, and that ash is going down to Pahala or whatever. They're not telling us who, what, or where within, except, well, it's time to evacuate this next street. This one I actually drew in a program called AutoCAD, a mechanical drafting program. So it's made from the original plat map. The spots are where lava started to break out originally. The lowest spot on the development is right in here, and it went out there first, and it's just kind of been working up this way. This is the part that's gone out and crossed Pohiki Road and now 132 and headed down the hill.
What has been some of the frustrations in dealing with this whole?
The curfew
Yeah.
is probably the single biggest one. So that's really hard on people at work, or you can't really go to a restaurant for dinner because you got to be back.
Though Uilani Soares has experienced lava flow scares in the past, this eruption is one of higher significance. A Red Cross coordinator, Uilani helps evacuees find support and shelter. But with current lava flows now projected to reach her own home, Uilani's work strikes a deep personal chord. She can't help but wonder if she too will soon join the ranks of those she helps.
Yeah, cool.
The first thing I thought was, holy crap, not again. Take care of yourself, okay, sweetheart? This time is really, really different. We're dealing with a lot of air quality issues. My husband and I have gone through this in the past, and we've had 6 children with us. And the emotional roller coaster for them was their first time having to say goodbye to our home that my husband had inherited from his family, his grandmother. And you're deciding what's important, the clawfoot bathtub you inherited from your grandmother that your dad was born in, or the table your father-in-law built before he passed. And people say, well, you know, that's just materialistic stuff. At least you have your life, at least you have your health. But it's people like that don't understand that you're going through a ripping of your soul and your spirit, because now you're being challenged to make decisions that you wasn't prepared for. Knowing that Red Cross was going to come in was a relief, but at the same time it was stressful for me personally, because knowing what I have to do personally to take care of myself first, but knowing how much people, as you can see, them needing help as well.
Everyone can relate to you because you're going through the same thing. It's just it hasn't hit your home yet.
Correct.
How have the numbers increased over the past 3.5 weeks?
So in the beginning, the numbers were pretty high. We were talking like over 200 count, and then it fluctuates back and forth. You have those that really have nowhere to go. They really don't have anywhere to go, and this is not where they want to be. But there's no choice in the matter.
Pretty soon we're going to have suicides over here, because when this ends, they don't know how to cope either. So these guys got to start teaching coping. I went down to the Red Cross, asked them who's in charge of coping, and they said these guys. So I went over there, teach me your coping skills. The guy said, go outside, look at the birds, look at some trees, or maybe burn. I said, burn. You're talking about weed, yeah? He said, yeah, burn. We'll go to alcohol. And I said, wow, you get degrees for telling me all this super knowledge. Amazing. So it's all jammed up. They're not giving these guys what they need. They need education and compassion. No more.
For me, when I was first encountered with this the first time, is having to deal with 3 mortgages. You know, when the lava takes your home, the banks still need the money. And then you have to find a place to rent or live. It's easy when it's just yourself. It's harder when you have a partner and children. It's even harder if they're challenged with medical issues or physical challenges. So the more added to your plate, the more difficult it is to just breathe.
When you go home at the end of the day, how do you feel?
Sorry. I feel guilty. I feel guilty because I get to go home. Because I get to go home. And I gotta leave Grandma in her wheelchair on a cot. And she's been on it for 4 weeks. I feel bad for the children who have to wake up in the middle of the night because somebody else, a stranger, is screaming and yelling and threatening somebody else. I'm exhausted because I want to do more. And I'm just not sure what is that more.
With Leilani Estates on virtual lockdown, gaining access requires either proof of residency or National Guard escort. At the checkpoint station in Pahoa, visitors receive a mandatory briefing by National Guard Sergeant Jeff Hickman, who's been tasked with coordinating public safety efforts on the ground. Have you seen the residents growing frustrated, or are they more, amenable to leaving because they see how serious
we
the
feed
threat
them
is?
so much information, and then they make the decision based on their family. A lot of them are, no, you're telling me to leave, I'll leave. Then there's the next level. You know what, once it gets closer, I'll leave, or the SO2 levels are bad, then I'll leave. Then there's the lava's my doorstep, then I'll leave.
What does mandatory evacuations really translate into?
It translates to they're in the most imminent danger, that either a live flow or really bad air, sulfur dioxide is coming their way. And for their lives, if they don't react or do something and the danger doesn't change, like wind or the lava stop, then there's a possibility that they could die.
Okay.
This is like a deployment for a lot of soldiers, and airmen, knowing that I'm going into a danger area and there's a possibility to get hurt and injured.
When the lava decided to cross down Pohiki Road, down through Lani Puna and cross Pohiki Road, it was so quick that we only had about an hour and a half of notice. I was at the grocery store. I had got a call from Bill Hansen with Civil Defense. He called me and said, "Hey, you need to get home, and evacuate right now. What the lava's crossing into your neighborhood."
What went through your mind at that point?
Get home. My wife was at home. I called her and I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm cooking dinner right now." And I said, "Get only essential stuff, put them in the car. You have to leave right now."
So we just got access to Leilani Estates, and you can already feel the heat. You can smell the sulfur dioxide in the air. There's been a lot of activities in the past 24 hours alone, and what we're walking to right now is a very active site.
Never thought I would see this in my life. I mean, I've been around lava flows all my life, but this kind of stuff is just off the scale.
It's at the cusp of my little abode here. I have a couple of friends down there who lost their homes thus far, and another gentleman from Canada is next. Hopefully not, but what's fortunate for us is the berm is being built up, so the lake is going towards the water. That's what's saving us right now. But that's a huge lava lake. It's just like Halimau, the same scenario. The lava's there, ready to go do something. So when it makes its mind up and go, that's when we'll know.
So you have to sit back and see the wonderment and the amazement that it creates, but you just also have to understand the devastation that it causes. And so our job is to stand firm, and number one is to keep them safe, and number two, tell the complete story. Not just a story about the lava and how magnificent and beautiful and destructive it is, but how it affects the lives of the people in this area. I mean, they live here. A lot of the media who come visit, they're in and they're out. They want to tell a fantastic story, but with every lava flow that crosses a road, there's a family that's affected. So we want to make sure that story also gets told.
If you could say something to Pele, what do you think you would say?
I understand, and yes, you're right, I need to leave. And I thank you for all you have let me stay there. That's what I told her. And I started bursting out crying on that one because I accepted her for letting me be here. Those part of my years to raise my children there. And yes, I understand it was only temporary. That's all I told her. I knew that.
I want to give back and get these people out of all the canopies and tents over here at the community center. Everybody in here knows everybody. It's a small town. You know, we see each other every day. And you see each other hurting and you want to do something.
And you're going to do that.
I'm going to try.
by helping to rebuild.